Tokyo 1913 colorized. I always find footage like this so strange. It's so weird seeing like that long ago in like high quality. Like all these kids are probably dead now. That's a cool little, like, is it like a, what is it like a, I don't know what it is that he's carrying around. Like a portable shop, or is it like a one-man band thing? I have no idea what that thing was. Danny Sume, LOL, dark. Hey, you know what? Those children may have gone on to live very full lives, and then they died. You ever, you know at the end of some movies, Animal House did this, and it became like a trope? The freeze frames at the end of the movie where it's like it tells you what happened to someone. I always feel like at the end of those it should say ... and then later they died. Because that's really the last page in everyone's book, you know? I can't even imagine growing up, like, in a time like this. I can barely remember time before the internet, much less, like, there's no TV. You might have a radio if your family has, like, enough money. I don't know. It just seems like the way people interacted with each other must have been fundamentally different. This more says about how long film has existed. Yeah. Think about this, too. This is weird. Like, think of how weird it is for us to look at this footage over 100 years ago. But in the future, that's going to be common. And not only 100 years ago, like, if human beings survive into the future, they'll have video from 1,000 years ago and be able to see people and, like, instead of looking at, like, I don't know, primary source documents the way we do now, they can literally see video footage of historical events happening. That's going to fundamentally change how people interact with history and how people view it. Like, we basically live at the dawn of a completely new kind of history. Like, not just mass visual media, but common mass visual media owned by the individual. Stuff like this, you know what I mean? People are not only going to be able to go back in time and look at video of people talking about political events, they're going to be able to go and look at people talking about them, stuff like this. Like, I have a YouTube archive channel. Let's say someday, 50 years from now, when storage gets really cheap, YouTube decides for historical posterity to save every YouTube video ever, and they put it somewhere. And people in the future can just see that. That's bananas, right? Like, what is that gonna be like?
There's nothing funny about the tools of
Slow X Mox Panda with 300 bits. Thank you. And, like, historians are gonna have to go through so many shit posts to learn about the history of memes. It's gonna be glorious. The issue with that is decay of technology and programming languages. They might not be able to decode or compress video files. I would imagine in the future there'd be people who would be able to come up with programs to read things. That'd be something they would figure out. Like, there's no way, if they have access to video files in the future, like, let's say Google does somehow save, you know, all of YouTube or whatever to some server somewhere, and it maintains, like, its stability. In the future, someone would figure out a way to read those video files. It might take a while, but they would do it, because that's just, like, an invaluable piece of history. Antipodian squid with 10 bits. Oh, Lord. The historians and people of the future dredging through the millions of unboxing videos out of YouTube and wondering what the hell it all meant. Have I ever heard of Questar? His content would be perfect for you to collab. No, I'm not familiar. Or Q-Star. Someone in the future will stumble upon the quarterings videos. Oh, God. That would be an interesting speciality if you were, like, a historian in the future. Like, not just, like, the historian of media, but someone who specializes in weird anti-SJW YouTubers who spend all their time complaining about social issues. And this is someone, you know, 1,000 years in the future or something who's like, oh, God. Who cares? Now we're talking about robot sentient super AI rights. Why do you care about, like, gay people being in your video games? Daddy Sume, how do you think these people would react to the current Tokyo weebs otaku? I have no idea. How would anyone 100 years ago react to, like, the societies that they grew up in 100 years later? Over 100 years later? Like, there's just no context for us to understand what that would be like. Imagine people watching this video in the future. You probably just creep them out a ton. I don't care.
There's nothing funny about
honestly, if there's a historian who has used their historian degree in the future and they're wasting their time watching me, then they've made terrible career decisions. Now I hope this happens, so there's just a historian 1,000 years in the future that's getting roasted by some douchebag on the internet that's been dead for 1,000 years. Burn us at the stake, beat us with sticks. That sounds about right. Here's New York in 1911. Random guy 2324 real. I really hope people think Brie Larson was a god anti-SJWs worshipped. What do you mean think? That's the reality. Look up Spanish flu 1918 to 1920 vids. I don't know how much I'll find, but I can look in a sec. No, they would think they feared her. She would be the Satan of their mythology. Yeah. That guy looks a lot like Woodrow Wilson. This is before the effing Titanic? Yeah. Like 3 years before. Was that 1914 Titanic happened? This is 1911. 1912? Okay. So it's a year before the Titanic. This city must have smelled like shit. Can I just point that out? This city must have smelled so bad with all the horses and probably not very up-to-date sewage systems. Can I go full screen? Yeah.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Just think all these people are dead. Their children are dead. We're all dustlings before the wind. Oh no! I wonder if that guy lost his... Well, no, he's too young for that. Probably a factory accident or something. Or he got, like, trampled by a horse. I don't know. These kids just in the street about to get into, like, Little Rascals antics. Oh, the Flatiron Building. I recognize that. That's where the Daily Bugle is, in some versions. They have the old-timey ooga horn. It's weird to see kids running down the street unsupervised. Yeah, in New York City of all places, too. When was Stan Lee born? Hold on. 1922. Stan Lee was born 11 years after this. Had a car, they must have been rich. Oh god, he's got to do turn signals with his hands because turn signals don't exist yet on cars. Yikes. Neither do traffic lights. True. Ugh. Are there even standardized, like, traffic signals at this point? Like stop signs and yield signs? Or did that not get standardized until later? Antipodian Squid with 300 bits, thank you. It's bizarre to see this as daily life, not as romanticized aesthetic in book or film. I mean, sure, you know people lived in this aesthetic, but you never think about it actually as a thing. Weird. This is pre-jaywalking laws. The roads were not like a thing that people considered like a thing you couldn't walk on back in the day. There was a whole like Adam Ruins Everything video about this. How the auto industry basically lobbied to get jaywalking laws put on the books. Because the roads were just the roads. Like, if you wanted to walk on the road, you walk on the road. Like, that was a thing in the past. Obviously, because, like, cars weren't as much of a thing, and carriages go much slower, people just walked in the road all the time. And then the car companies were like, oh god, more people need to buy cars that go faster. We need to get these people off the roads, and they changed the laws, and they made it so you can't just walk on the road anymore. Which, like, questionable, but, like, at the end of the day, probably a good move. It was a good move, you know, with the way cars developed. Daddy Sume. Nope, not until much later. It was actually car clubs by rich people who started that up. Ah, gotcha. They put their own signs while pushing for legislation to get control of the roads and stop people from walking on them. Cascadia93, I love this so much as a history buff. This makes me smile so wide. Thank goodness this exists. Like, I'm still kind of tearing up a bit. Oh. And then Daddy Sume says, it's not really the auto industry. It was car clubs filled with rich people. Of course it was. Friggin' rich people traveling. The traveling emo. Now, these people couldn't quote Black's Law Dictionary because that version wasn't written until 1930. 19 years after this video. 1990s LA highway video. Oh boy. Okay, we can check that out. I know there's a 90s HD New York footage too that we can watch. Cotton Candy 903. There aren't even any road lines. People just monitor which side they're on. Yep. They didn't have, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but this came up in an episode of Quantum Leap. Like, a lot of roads, you know how, like, if you're out in the country and there's a road, like, you can see the edge of the road because often there's white lines painted on the side. Not always, but often there'll be white lines. That wasn't a thing until, like, the late 60s or the 70s. I only know that because Quantum Leap, he's going down the road and there's no lines, and he's like, I never realized how hard it was to drive on the roads without the white lines on the side, because it was night and it was hard for him to see where the road ended. Roman Civilian, thank you for getting a sub, tier 1, appreciate that. Slow Xmox Panda with 100 bits. What are the chances of getting rid of that huge constantly video blocking Elon gif? Maybe have a small one or just the dono message? I can probably move it over, but no, that's the entire point. Just so people can see the thing that they're doing. Lyseus with 100 bits. To think the seconds were much longer during this time. I understood that reference. Oh, Hype Train. Thanks. 63% of level 1. Let's see the HD 90s. MW1642, thanks for the 200 bits. New York City in 1993. This was a demo of an HD camera because they existed in the 90s. They just weren't prevalent because they were so expensive. So this is New York in the 90s in HD. It's very strange to see because we normally see, you know, the 90s in standard definition. Oh, Antipodian Squid with 5,000 bits. Thank you. Did someone say hype? Indeed. Thanks. Daddy Sume with a bit. If you watch the podcast, I suggested there's your problem about engineering disasters. They talk about traffic engineering and how stupid early traffic shit was in one episode. Oh, I bet. Tatsuyo Dragneel, thank you for the 5 bits. And Cold Stare, thanks for gifting a sub. I'll move this down here, so it'll just block me. It won't block the video. How about that? That's a compromise.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism. There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
I need to mute this. That was dumb. Of course there's a licensed music in this. That's annoying.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. This music is perfect for Elon removing his jacket. True.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
You were in high school in 93? I wasn't even born yet in 93. Have 5 bits? Thanks, Baha. Interesting stuff. Very, very interesting. There's 90s
There's
LA.
nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Daddy Sume with a bit. I was 2. I was born in 94, so. Cars were real ugly in the 90s, weren't they?
There's nothing funny about the
Of course,
tools
that's
of
subjective,
capitalism.
but I don't know. I think 1950s cars and even 1970s cars have a charm, but like the 80s and 90s, cars got real ugly for a while. Cotton Candy 903. I wasn't even a sperm yet in 93. I wasn't born until 97. Oh. Ooh, Victorian England. This one's from 1901. That's a cool one.
The quality. However, it is still cool. So, enjoy your time travel experience. Human.
Stone Corbell, thanks for
There's
gifting a
nothing funny
sub.
about the tools of capitalism.
Why you all so young? Why you so old?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism. Funny about the tools of
Look at all these people who are gonna die of the black lung. Oh, that guy looked like he didn't have eyes.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Like, something about the, like, footage that they're using and the AI upscaling is making it, like, go over their eyes and make it look like none of these people have eyes, and it's kind of scary. All those people are dead. Yes, true. 93. Look at this. Look at them staring at the camera. It must have been wild, or must have been mind-boggling to see something like that. This. I love film, you know. It's cool. This kid looks so confounded by the camera. Yes. Yes, kid. Do it. Look at that kid. That kid's got more confidence than I'll ever have.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Cascadia 93. See them pointing like it's a magic device. Oh, God. And we carry them in our pockets. Yeah, it's crazy. Ooh, Paris, 1890s. How is there even video of this? Because, let me see, when was the first camera, I should say, motion camera invented? The motion camera was invented in 1888. So this is the 1890s, so it's a new thing, but it did exist. And it's been upscaled and colored and stuff, obviously. It looked much worse than this, but they use like a algorithm to try and guesstimate and make it higher quality than it was actually shot in.
There's nothing funny about
Oh no, Notre Dame. Yeah. It's alright, it's still standing. It just got a little burnt, got a little crispy. Cascadia 93. It's just a world that cannot, will not, definitely should not exist anymore. It's a separate world from ours. That's what makes me love history. And early film, in my opinion, are some of the most important things ever captured in human history. It's again, I talked about it earlier, but like the advent of video and the ability to actually see things as they were in the past is going to completely change people's relationship with history as we move forward as a species. It's going to be very interesting. Bobbing for giblets. And here you can see all the rich people have carriages instead of cars. Yeah. Hello. 4. Yeah. Oh no, maybe we only completed 3. And we almost got to 4, I don't remember.
Well, chat. How would you feel if I, instead of putting hats on Hannah, I just braided her hair or something?
Sure. Cotton Candy 93 with 10 bits. So strange to think about the fact that the sound had to be added and the color. It's so interesting. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Of course they had to add sound. That's so obvious, but I didn't even think about it. Because it's so natural to see, like, video with sound. It's what we're used to. The talkies weren't invented until much later. Ooh, is that like are these firefighters? Nice.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Hitler was a baby when these videos were recorded. Think about that. I'd rather not. Quick, someone get us a ticket to Austria.
If only anyone in the shot.
We gotta psychically send a message back in time to this child in particular and be like, implant a thought. Go to Austria, kill Adolf Hitler.
Maybe if all of us think directly at that child at the same time.
Sushi Mom 10 with 100 bits. This is because of Bellstar. Quote, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life. Take the lemons back. Get mad. I don't want your damn lemons. What the heck am I supposed to do with these? Demand to see life's manager. Make life rue the day it thought it could give Cave Johnson lemons. Do you know who I am? I'm the man who's gonna burn your house down with lemons. Portal 2. If anyone hasn't played it. Is that like a moving? Oh, it's a train. They're on like a train of some sort. But it's like a train that you just hold on to? It's like public transport, but oh my god, that's so weird. Look at this train. I didn't even know they made something like this. It's like the most unsafe subway system in the history of subways. That's so weird. Very cool. Let me see if there's any other ones on here, and then we'll probably move on.
Funny
We've been doing a lot of these.
Capitalism.
That would be brand new. The Eiffel Tower. Yeah. What didn't they build it for like a World's Fair?
Yeah, and then they just never took it down.
Yeah. What year was that? I don't know what year that was. France. World.
1888 or something. Oh, 1900.
1900.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
And they hated it. Yeah, it only got saved because it ended up being used as a radio tower. Because they were going to tear it down.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Which is funny to think about. Wind Chanter. The most unsafe subway is the one John Doyle works at. It has a fascist and a gun. That's good.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
There's footage from the moon, upscaled.
Ooh.
And stabilized.
That's cool.
That max acceleration? Oh. Man, you are really bouncing. Is he on the ground at all? That's 10 kilometers. Huh? He's got about 2 wheels on the ground. He's a big rooster tail out of all 4 wheels. And as he turns, he skids. The back end breaks loose just like on snow. Come on back, John. Hey, the deck is running. Man, I'll tell you, Andy's never seen a driver like this.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Kiss93 says, I'm actually crying. I'm so happy. Well, that's good. Here's a link to this channel if you want it. Here's a link to this video, and from this you can get to the channel. They do a lot. They have a lot of videos like this.
Stop. Those wheels just locked. Mark off. Okay. Do you want to do it one more time? Yeah. At about a minute, 5 seconds that time. Mark off.
Oof. Video of the Twin Towers from the summer of 2001.
On that side.
That's so weird.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
This is obviously fake. Everyone knows there's no such thing as space. I'm assuming that's based on the previous video. The building of the One World Trade Center, which I think is the name of the new tower that stands there. It's a pretty cool looking tower. I'm sure all of you have seen it at this point. I'm a little bummed. I mean, I'm sure there was plenty of discussion as to what to put and what to rebuild in the spot, but I kind of would have liked another 2-tower thing as like a homage. I don't know what that's probably not the best word, but you know what I mean. But it's a cool looking skyscraper. I've heard the memorial's pretty good there too.
I mean, didn't they just leave the area where the second tower was like blank?
They did both towers. Yeah, you can see them right here. They're like fountains now. They put fountains in the footprints of where the old towers were, and this one is right next to it. I've heard the memorial's good, although the gift shop I've heard is very, very tacky and disrespectful, but...
Ooh.
It's a nice looking tower, if you're gonna rebuild, you know. The anniversary of 9/11's tomorrow, actually. You sent a package to the P.O. Box. When's the next unboxing? That's a good question. We probably need to go look and get packages sometime in the next week or two, just in case it's has a bunch of them. What else shall we watch? Thank you.
You look very pretty.
Thank you. Oldest recorded video. This is from 1888. A lot of those voices in the World Trade Center video were probably there that day. Yeah.
Oh, that's sad to think about.